Hold on, I can't. You see me? I'm driving, so can't. I'm doing 5-speed, first-gen Cummins things. Hold on, we got to shift. But we are headed to pick up the Camaros. Are you turning here or are you turning there? Okay, let's just take 3,000 years to turn into a wide open parking lot. God, I can't stand people. But anyways, we are on our way to get I found a cheap LS and 4L60. So I found a 5.3 Corvette motor out of a 02 Tahoe. JK, sarcasm, obviously not a Corvette motor, but that's what we'll tell people at the car shows. He doesn't have any. So the main reason why I'm getting it is because he was honest. You know how most people, or most marketplace listings you see, the ad will say 120k miles, 140, 150, 170, 180. They're all lying. Oh, hold on, we gotta go. They're all lying. So, I'm going left. I'm going straight. Come on, girl. But this guy, when I asked him, because it's $500 for the whole engine and transmission, and I was like, well, I was telling my wife, well, there's a good chance that the transmission is junk, and there's a good chance the engine is junk. But we're trying to do this as cheap as possible, and I've used many unknown mileage LS engines with kind of good results. So I'm debating on whether or not I should open it up and look at it, because I am going to be selling it, or just leave it and go. So I need you guys to let me know what you think in the comments. But back to why I chose this. One, it's only 25 minutes away, and I never get deals like this in my town or my area. Usually I gotta drive like 2 hours. But when I asked him what the mileage was, he said, I don't know. And that right there, that guy's being honest. So I can deal with that. I would rather, if you tell me a $500 5.3 from 20 years ago only has 180,000 or 120 or something, just not anything under 250 really. We'll say 200. If it doesn't have 200 plus, if you don't tell me it has 200 plus, I'm not gonna believe you. I completely understand up in the northern states that the trucks rot out, and so you can get low, like super low mileage ones. But down here in the south, newer Chevys from the 2000s, they don't rust out unless you're in like deep East Texas, where it's always raining and it's always humid. But even then, they really don't rust out. They'll get rust, but they won't rust out. But going off road. So we're headed to pick that up. I mean, hopefully the engine is good and the transmission is good. And I have to change the oil pan anyway, so just like I do with every LS I get, unless it's 100% rebuilt, I change the oil pump anyways, because the oil pump and the O-ring are the two biggest issues in a Gen 3 LS. That's, your lifters end up going because your oil pressure went low. So let's cruise a little bit, see some of the country-ish side as we go to get this LS motor. right, so we're back home. Obviously. Oh, so let's take a peek at what we have and give you some tips. Gotta get my tailgate opener. Some tips on. Wait, I'm not gonna show y'all how to steal my tailgate. Hold on. But let's just see what we have. So the torque converter took a little bit to pull out, and once I pulled it out, come on, there we go. It was pretty, you can't see it, but pretty rusty-ish, which isn't too bad of a sign, but I'm pretty sure it's from being in there so long with transmission fluid and then just through the elements. As that you can tell, all this on the aluminum, it's been outside for a little bit, but the engine looked perfectly fine, and he was 100% honest about it, which was nice. I only paid $500 for the engine, transmission. He gave me these universal type motor mounts. He gave me, there's something else in that box. He gave me like the factory stuff that would come in the engine bay. And then he gave me the harness and computer, which I'm not sure if it's for drive-by-wire or drive-by cable yet. So this has a drive-by-wire throttle body on it, but it's on a drive-by cable intake. And you can always tell that because the drive-by-wire intakes don't have these 3 holes for the bracket. And another way for me to tell, aside from that, is, well, let me see. Oh, I thought there was something else. That's really it. Those 3 bolts, holes right there, that's the bracket for the drive-by cable setup, which is, oh, no, I'm wrong. So, okay, I was wrong. This is interesting. This is the first for me, so let's show you. So this tube right here going into the intake, that's typically what you would use that comes off of your drive-by cable throttle body, and your drive-by cable intake doesn't have it on the intake itself. It's only on the throttle body. So it having this tells me that it is actually a drive-by-wire intake, which is interesting because any drive-by-wire intake I've messed with doesn't have the threads for that bracket, or for the drive-by cable bracket. So that is good to know. Also, you want to make sure if you want to do this as cheap as possible, obviously I've said it a million times, it depends on how much you pay for the engine and transmission. Do I use that transmission? We will find out. But it has to be 100% complete. You want all the accessories, you want the coils, you want the intake. Does this have the starter on it? I don't think it does. No, I don't see the starter. No starter unless it's in that box. He also gave me the AC compressor. I got the manifolds. But you want it to be 100% complete because the little knick-knack stuff is what's going to get you. This transmission, one way to tell, I'm gonna make a whole video on how to identify your LS engine transmission, but I'm just trying to give you a little bit of tips here so that this video is more than just me driving to go get it. Having the flex plate's good too. But see this number right here on the top of the transmission? That tells you what year the transmission is. So this would be a 2003, which this being drive-by-wire intake, even though I thought it was drive-by cable, that tells me that this is from an 03, which people say is way better because the inside, the rods and rods, and I think it's just the rods are better or something. I don't know. I don't care. But that is it. Now I gotta pull it out, and then we'll make another video showing you how to identify the engine, transmission, and just what to look for Gen 3 setups. She's staring at me. But I'll see you guys next video, which will actually be tomorrow. So I'll actually have one after the other. Usually it takes a couple weeks, but I'm trying to make as much content as possible and help you guys out. But go buy a sticker, www.CrustyClassicsGarage. It's a mouthful. Thinking about changing the name, but we'll see. So I'll see y'all next time.